Hello, podcast listeners. Guess who's in the studio this week? My good friend, Natalie. We're going to talk everything from real estate to what you want to do after you're dead to really mean chickens named Phyllis. So much going on in this episode of JJ Meets World. I want you to sit back, relax, and not be eating during the last 10 minutes. Trust me. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Why don't people ever start with 0? Like, oh, give me a 10 count.
It's
0,
not a number.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it is. It's the base. It's the nothing number. It's the beginning of the timeline. To get to 1, you have to travel from 0.
We're keeping
There's
all of
so
that.
much hair on this microphone.
Yeah, I brought it from my house that
it's
I
kitty
live
cat hair.
with kitty cats. Don't you live on a farm?
I do live on a
Yeah,
farm.
so I wasn't worried about it, but I guess. Do you not have cats on your farm?
I do have cats on my farm.
Are they outdoor cats, though?
Yeah. They're 3 real fat cats.
Natalie, are you sick to your stomach about the fact that next year's our 20th high school reunion?
I hadn't really thought about it.
Well, I wanted to be in your head now as we start this podcast to think about the fact that next year you and I will have graduated, which means that this year JJ graduated 20 years ago.
Yeah. And actually, the Facebook thread for the group, no one wanted to plan it. And so we're not having a 20th anniversary, or like 20th reunion. They're like, maybe we'll do something for the 25th.
Yeah, I think my sister's, because hers would have been last year. And I feel like her class, they tried to plan something. And then obviously with everything that was going on, I think that they then decided not to do it.
Was
as
she
well.
2000, 2001?
She was 2001.
Okay.
So
Ours was just because, like, our senior class president, like 3 years after graduating, was like, hey, guys, just so you know, I don't plan on doing any of this. So.
who was your senior class president?
Cindy.
Somebody was named Cindy?
Something.
Somebody was named Cindy. Yeah, a lot of people were.
Why can't I think? I
like
can't.
our age group, that just seems weird.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I had 2 Cindys in my graduating class.
Is Cindy short for something?
Cynthia?
Cinderella.
Synth.
No, is Cynthia? What's Cynthia short? Is it short for Cynthia? Cindy?
I think Cindy might just be Cindy on its own.
I think you're right.
Pull that mic even closer to you.
If I remember my
Thank you.
Brady Bunch breakdowns, Cindy is short for nothing. It's just the youngest
Cindy Lou
girl's
Who,
name.
though.
Right.
Cindy is short for Cindy Lou Who.
Do you know what Cindy Lou?
Yeah,
Do you know Cindy
Dr.
Lou
Seuss
Who's-
invented the name Cindy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not so weird. Like, he did invent some words. What was it? Oobleck is a word he invented. I have a book called The Big Book of Boners by Dr. Seuss. And it's back in the day when the term boner applied to, like, what a funny joke. Made quite a boner there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love the word boner.
It's a good one,
seriously,
isn't
it's
it?
like if somebody just whips out like boner out of nowhere, I will laugh every single fucking time. It's just it's like a wholesome way of saying erection. You know, it's like a
Yeah.
childish way of talking about wieners.
Right. And so to me, the word wiener
Yeah.
is what's funny. And so, like, someone's like, oh, we're putting some wieners on the grill. I'm like, you are?
I just flash back to watching the movie Jack with Robin Williams, where he's a guy who ages too fast. So
Yep.
he's a kid. And there's a whole section of that movie where they talk about, don't you ever get an erection? And he thinks they're talking about erector sets. And so he says, my mom bought me one for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember distinctly seeing that movie with my mom and my sister and then going to Videoland. Like, we went to rent a movie right after watching a movie in the theater. And Brianna asking right then and there in front of a crowd of people, like, Mom, what's an erection? At the video store.
Oh, the mouth.
She did
From
not
the mouth
say
of babes.
She did not say boner.
She didn't say boner.
No.
It probably would have been funny if she said boner, but erection, it's like, what the fuck's wrong with this kid?
Right. And you go like, Listen, just rent The Last Unicorn another
Yeah.
time. Just enjoy. Be a good girl. Natalie Deutsch LaPlante. So are you dropping the Deutsch or are you keeping Deutsch LaPlante?
So
Since the last time you were on.
yeah. Well, LaPlante is my last name, but I'd planned on changing my middle name to Deutsch and
Really?
just dropping Anne. Yeah. So that's like, it's super common, I guess, in the South. Like that's how all my aunts have done it and whatnot. So, but we forgot to get our marriage license until like last minute. Like literally it was one of those like, come on moments. Like it was in the middle of the night.
Sounds like
The
you
night-
picked the wrong officiant
night
because
before.
I've never let any of my couples make that boner.
Well, we just forgot to get we forgot about, I had it on my calendar. We had planned to go get it like that Monday, the week of our wedding. And then we didn't go that day. So then it like completely left my mind until the night before. Like, so it would have been Thursday. I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, we never got the marriage license. So we went to the courthouse, which they've got like these ridiculous rules. I'm sure it was because of COVID at the time, but it was like, we got to the court office, we went up to the clerk and they were like, you have to make an appointment. And we were like, oh shit. So they're like, but it's really easy. You just really have to go back out to the lobby, call here and make an appointment for right now.
What the bureaucracy, right?
Right. So we did that. We got in there. The lady that was helping us was so sweet, so nice to us. But in that time, I didn't really think about it. So I wrote down that I was changing, it was Natalie Ann Deutsch to Natalie Ann LaPlante. So then when I sent all my stuff in to change my name for Social Security, they changed my name to Natalie Deutsch LaPlante. But my ID says Natalie Ann LaPlante. So I've got two different identities right now.
Oh, you should get that figured out ASAP.
I know. Well,
right?
so then
It's a real Black Widow situation.
yeah,
there.
one of my girlfriends who's an attorney, I talked to her about it. It's a huge process to change your
Yeah.
middle name. I have to put it in the paper for 30 days.
Yeah, because if you have creditors or something like that,
Yeah,
like
that
they
are
need
trying
be
to
able
find me or something. So
Wow.
even for your middle name. So yeah, I got to get that shit figured out.
I'm telling you, there's nothing better than being a man.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
no
don't
one
have to
expected
do
me to
shit.
change anything.
Well, I hadn't planned on changing my last name, but it was important to Kyle, so I guess I let him have that one.
I know more and more guys who are actually changing their last name. I think there are instances where there are guys who are like, I dislike my family and where I came from, and they found solace in a relationship and ended up like taking a coworker of mine just did that, taking his wife's last name.
Yeah,
versus-
nobody wants my last name.
My sister
Deutsch
kept,
is not a terrible last
It's
name.
a good one.
It's a good one.
If you pronounce it correctly.
How do people
What a
pronounce
douche.
it?
Douche all the time.
DEUTSCH. Douche.
Douche all the time.
And here's the thing: have you ever seen like a package, like at a pharmacy, like a douche that's spelled like that?
No.
No.
It's
And do you call it
spelled
Doucheland or Deutschland?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. So, like, yeah, it's not a bad last name at all, except for stupid people who don't know how to pronounce it. But it actually makes me more upset when people pronounce it LaPlante instead of LaPlante.
LaPlante.
Because now, it's a new last name for me. And I'm like, get it right, fuckers.
How about LaPlante?
LaPlante?
Because there's a TE in there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's LaPlante.
See, now that's why I think you took it, is because you wanted
I
that
get to say the capital P.
double capitals in the last name.
Yeah, and like, when you did cursive and practicing that, like the L was always my favorite letter.
There was only one cast member, I believe, in the Family Matters cast who didn't have a double capital letter in their last name. And I used to think, like, that is so cool. I don't have that. And then I had a friend whose last name was McCormick with capital M and then capital C. And then I thought that was the coolest too. You're McDougal, right? McDonald, right? Yeah, but you got
McDougal.
You get a capital D out of there, right? Capital M, capital D.
My last name is Lucas, but yeah.
Yeah, but your clan, your Scottish clan.
The Scottish Irish surname on my mom's side is McDonald. Yeah, so it's M, uppercase M, lowercase C, uppercase D.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Natalie, now that you're on a farm, let's
Yeah.
talk about your animals.
Okay.
Okay. You got some chickens, I know, and there's a pretty big story with these chickens.
Yeah, so we have 8 chickens now and 1 rooster. We named them all after the ladies of the office. So we've got Pam, Angela, Holly, Jan, Kelly, Karen. Who am I missing? Meredith and Aaron. Phyllis died. So we haven't replaced her yet. And actually, Pam is Pam 2 and Angela is Angela 2 because our first batch of chickens, it was too hot this summer. They died of heat stroke. It was so bad. Like,
whoa, I've never even heard of that.
well, yeah. Well, so we built this. I mean, we've got this awesome coop and a huge run for them to be able to go outside. But on those days when it was like 100 degrees out, it's 100 plus degrees in the coop. So the smart chickens go outside, and we've got plenty of shade, water, pool, like all that stuff for them to hang out in. The dumber chickens stay inside the coop. And, we have fans in there now, but still, I mean, it's a wooden box that's being baked by the sun all freaking day long. So the first 2 that we lost, we didn't have the fans set up to keep the air circulating in there. And then the last one that we lost, Phyllis, she actually was like double laying. So she was laying 2 eggs a day. And so it was like, we were out of town. I felt so bad for our pet sitter because, I mean, there's nothing worse than you having to call somebody, tell them that
I had to do
one of
that
their
once
animals died.
with
Yeah.
previous guest Phil Goodell's cat.
Oh,
Put him in an Amazon box, put him in the freezer.
yeah. Well, she laid an egg because we have a camera set up on our chickens so we can see them. And so she had laid an egg and then she like must have exhausted herself because then she went to lay another egg and she just keeled over and
Boy,
died.
do I know what that's like.
Yeah, it's like taking 2 shits like in a nasty fucking porta potty.
Do you know the musical Hamilton?
Yes.
There's like you're writing like you're running out of time, like you're laying like you're running out of time, like
Yeah.
Anyway, wasn't Phyllis also the mean one too?
Phyllis was an egg eater. So we actually, when the first 2 died, we meanly said, why couldn't it have been Phyllis? Because she would go in, after the girls would lay their eggs, she'd go eat the eggs. And we figured it out because she was white and she had yolk running down her chin. So we were like, what the fuck?
Think if that had been like a human being, like, think
Right.
about any other animal where like, it's like a cow eating a bunch of burgers.
Right. Well, so then we had to get this whole new nesting box that when they lay the eggs roll out, like it's at an angle. So then she couldn't get to them. But then some of the girls will lay like on the floor or they won't always go into the nesting box. And so she would get them and she was just mean. We got these little pullets that are like a couple months old, not like the baby chicks.
A what?
They're called a pullet when they're like they're not a baby chick, but they're not like laying yet. They're not
Okay, so
of
like the
age.
teenager version.
preteens.
Yeah. I mean, they're like half the size of a normal chicken. I don't know. And so when we got those, we had them separated from them, but Phyllis would just like chase them. And
Because wasn't she like
She's mean.
causing like blood to come? Like she was pecking to the
she
point
was
of where
when Shelly had her.
yeah.
She because we took these 5 chickens from our friend Shelly and her husband because they had gotten 2 new chickens and they were pecking at their new ones, and so they gave us the 5 girls and they kept the 2 because she was mean.
Does
Like,
your rooster crow?
Oh yeah, Michael. Like, I mean, even this morning I was like, do roosters know time change? Are you
I was
kidding
gonna
me?
ask him because
At
we're recording this,
6:30.
like on daylight savings.
At 6:30 this morning, he was already crowing because
So
I
does
just
he normally
randomly got
crow
up.
at 6:30, or does he normally crow
He
later
usually
than?
crows like when it starts to get light out, but
Yeah.
it wasn't light out, but it was 6:30. So,
Ugh.
and that's typically the time like Kyle goes out, before he leaves for work, he's out there and he gives them scratch, checks their water, gives them food, at about like 6:45 every morning. So
Wow.
today's Sunday, so he wasn't out there that early. And so, he crows. He crows all the time. It's not like obnoxious. I thought it would really bother me, but it's quite endearing. And he does it just to be like, "What's up, ladies, bitches?
The same
Check
way
out
that
my
like
crow."
I go into the OB and be like, "What's your major?"
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
What's your like rooster to chicken ratio on the farm?
Just one.
Just
we only
one
have one
rooster.
rooster. Yeah,
Okay.
you can't have more than that. They'll
Yeah.
go at each other.
Got it.
So,
So he's
but
like, this is my best life.
oh
for
yeah,
him.
he loves his bitches too. He's like, he always makes sure like
his
they
harem.
get fed first. He like puffs up his chest if anybody's near him. But what's interesting, so we also adopted these 3 cats to be barn cats. We kept them separate from the dogs and everybody. We just kept them in the barn for weeks because we want them to know that that's their home and to always come out. And we wanted to let them, be able to roam free and live their best cat lives ever. And so they did. But then we had been like keeping them out of, or we had been locking them up in the barn at night. So then that way they weren't, at risk of predators and things like that. And one night, one of them snuck into the coop the last time we checked on the coop and got locked in the coop with the chickens. So
I'd feel more worried for the cat in that instance than the chickens.
Yeah, so Kyle figured it out the next morning and he texted me like when he had gotten to work and he's like, hey, go back and look at the camera. Spud, that was the cat, got into the coop last night and my heart just sunk. I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a massacre in there. And then I was like, just kidding. Kyle would not tell me to look at the camera if there was a massacre in there. He was in there. He just hung out all night, like was hanging out with the chickens. Yeah. Well, Michael is much bigger than the cat. I would be much more afraid of that. But I think in your mind, because Tweety Bird and Sylvester the cat has taught us that cats don't get along with birds. No, I put it on my backyard chicken page. Yes, I'm on one of those pages on Facebook. Everybody responded like, yeah, we keep our cats in our coop all the time. They love it.
I think it's a size thing because the chickens are so big. The cats don't, it doesn't really, their predator instinct doesn't really usually kick in when it comes to chickens because they're the size, if not bigger than the cat. But if it was like a little, like baby chicks,
like sparrow or something,
baby chicks would be in danger of cats for sure because they're so.
Well, our cats get birds. Like Kyle just said the other day that there's a cat or that they had brought a bird, and I've seen it multiple times that they bring a bird back into their little condo and have a feast.
With your cats, have you noticed a difference in the pests around your area? Are they doing a good job mousing for you?
Yeah, they mouse really well. They're killers, which is really great. That's the whole point of having them.
We, Kramer.
And the cuddles.
Yeah. Well, because Kyle's deathly allergic to cats.
Oh.
But he's been like trying to adapt himself to them. They're outside, but they're the friendliest cats ever. They come up, like we have to tell the UPS people all the time, like check your truck before you leave because they probably went in there. And they just hang out. They're just always around, which is great. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to have like mean cats, and they're not spraying. They're all 3 males, which the vet was like, oh, that could be gross if you don't get them fixed because their natural instinct is to spray, but they haven't done that at all that we've noticed.
Well, I was going to say you stink real bad, so you probably just are nose blind to it. I'm just kidding. You don't stink.
Thanks. But we don't, I'm nowhere near them. They're not in the house. They're in the barn, which is, however far away from our house.
Do you use a clothesline?
No.
Why not? It's a real farm thing to do, right?
I don't know, because I bought a really nice dryer.
Yeah.
I got that handled. I got the 21st century handle.
I got the dryer that you could put a comforter in.
So other animals? I know you got some dogs, but
we have 3 dogs. And then, no, not right now. Goal would be to do some pigs.
Really?
Yeah. And then maybe eventually a cow. But a cow's a lot of work. If you get a female and if you want to do it for milk, you have to get up every single morning and milk that fucking cow. Mm-hmm. Guess who's not going to do that?
You're not.
No. And so then Kyle's like, well, Kyle can't have all those chores to do by himself. And like with both of us still working full time, unless we figure out, the goal is to figure out a way that we can
live off the grid,
and live there, and like work there, not have to have real jobs. Just kidding. I'm always want a job.
So there are automatic milking machines now. It wouldn't work for just one cow because it is. Yeah. So I was recently on a dairy farm where the cows all walk into this barn, the milking barn, every morning, and they get on this like platform and they wait their turn. And you go up, and this little thing like, and it goes and like it essentially sucks the whole udder, and it finds like where the teats are, and it milks the cow, and it goes underground into like a collection vat, and the cows just like walk their way through it, like that. Have you ever milked a cow before?
Nope.
It is not as easy as they make it look in the movies.
We used to do like NDSU trips, right, for school. Didn't we do that one time? And then like we went and saw.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Or maybe it's like I don't know. I remember like going to an actual working farm.
Well, like Rezel at one point, well after high school, was like really wanted to milk a cow and had never had the opportunity to do it, and he ended up doing it in Japan. Like he went and couch surfed and ended up finding his way to some sort of like a dairy farm in Japan. But like that's how far he had to go to get. Like he contacted NDSU and couldn't make it happen for some weird reason.
I'm sure. I mean,
their cows are not like, come on out to our dairy barn. They're research cows and stuff like that need
like
to be milked,
cabin,
but the students do it.
There's like 2 working farms like right by our cabin, so we could easily go ask to milk a cow. I don't know.
What would that be like? The neighbors showed up, wanted to milk the cow.
Well, I'm sure that's
out of nowhere.
I'm sure that's why Russell had a difficult time finding somebody to let him like.
This weird kid, this weird dude wants to milk our cow.
Oh, it's another one of those sexual predators.
But for future animals, I mean, I would love to have an alpaca, and then some goats.
Yeah, when you get goats, I need to know this.
Yeah. So goats are also a lot of work because, if you're gonna milk them, you have to. Same with those, you got to do it every single day at the same time. And what is it? It's something like when you milk it. There's like different terms for them. I don't know. Anyways, they're super cute, and that's what everybody always says. Like, you gonna get some goats? I'm like, yeah, but I mean, honestly. I'm not very good at taking care of the shit that we have right now.
During
that's what Kyle
COVID,
does.
I had to go help our first guest on this show, Scotch Noel Anderson. They sold their house, right? In the bottom place. You sold their place.
I sold their house, and I helped them buy their house.
And so, but you did not help them move out of their house.
No,
that was left up to me.
No.
And a 105-degree day, I might add.
Yep.
And so I took the biggest sucker I know, Phil Goodell, and I was like, we got to go down and help Scotch move. And so Scotch's farmhouse north of Holly is hard to get to if you think you know where you're going, but then you take one wrong turn. Like
Absolutely.
It's almost all dirt roads off Highway 10. And so I made one wrong. I turned on the road right before his road, and I ended up like in the middle of nowhere. So I go, Phil, I'm going to pull into this house and see if they can, help me with this. So I pull into this house and I go, hello. And around the corner of this house, this big old sheep. And it's got like, here's the thing. Sheep we all think are like fluffy and cute, but they're covered like with hay and bugs and shit like that. And so this thing looks at me and I was like, hey, fella. And then I hear clomp, clomp, clomp. And another one comes out of an enclosed trailer that's near me. And I go, and then one of them just goes, meh, and then they start coming after me.
Yep.
And I run as fast and hard as I can, which is, I mean, I haven't run that fast my entire adult life. Probably since you were chasing me and I thought you were a homeless person.
Yeah. Wait, so was your phone not working? Like,
yeah,
where's
did you
this
not
GPS?
have Google Maps?
When's the last time that you actually had to go knock on somebody's door to ask for directions?
So here was the big issue. So it's a dead zone out there for cell service,
I know exactly
right?
where it is, but
so I was trying and it was only 3G and nothing was coming up and it couldn't pinpoint my location and all this kind of stuff. And all I needed to do was ask hey, do you know where the Andersons' house is? Because this is the one house within 10 miles of their house, right?
Right.
So no human beings come. These things chase me around my car twice until Phil opens the door so I can hop in. And so then we get back on the road and we get stuck on the road because a fence chunk is down on this farm and there's cows going back and forth over the road on both sides of us. And so it was a disaster. And I was like, this is why I'm a concrete kid.
Yeah.
I'm just not that person who's going to go out there. And I've helped with Shelly at the horse barn before. And I'm like, hey, horses, how's it going? In fact, I got into some trouble one time, and I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but Shelly had me out to a horse barn, and she gave me an ice pick to pick the impacted snow and ice that's in their hooves. So like you just pick, and then you scrape around it so that, they're walking and they've got their actual hoof, not like on a sheet of ice. So I do that and I put it back in. She goes, I got to go feed the other horses like over here. And so she leaves and it's just me and a horse named General. General is this giant like quarter horse. It's almost like a Clydesdale. It's just an enormous horse. And his whole dong is out. Like it's out of its sheath and hanging down. And I go, what? And so I grab my phone and I'm taking a picture because I am dumbfounded. And I click it and I immediately like pull my phone back because I'm going to like text it to someone. Yeah. And I hear, who are you?
Oh, God.
And I turn over.
And it was General?
No. I did not consent. But what it was like this girl who volunteers at the horse barn. And I was like, it's all right. I'm here with Shelly. Yeah. And so then Shelly comes around the corner and she's like, oh, hey, Cammie, you met JJ. And she's like, yeah, I guess.
He was taking a picture of General's dog.
I mean, honest to God, though, you forget that, like, creatures, even if they have, like, genitals that are to their own size, it's impressive. But this was unlike anything I had ever seen in my life.
So one of my favorite signs that I've seen is like people who have farms that say like, this is a working farm. There's going to be animals. There's going to be things that smell. Animals have sex. They make weird noises. If you can't handle that, maybe you're not mature enough to be at our farm.
Have you ever seen a video of turtles doing it?
No.
The male turtle is like, ah.
Yeah, I used to have them. That's
right.
That was the first night I had turtles. I heard that. I was like, what am I hearing right now? And it was two turtles fucking. Yeah.
But don't they lay an egg?
So yeah, they do lay an egg, but they get fertilized inside themselves first and then lay the egg.
Okay.
And they'll lay eggs just like birds will lay eggs that are not fertilized, right? They'll do that too. But
I should have brought you guys some eggs.
No, yeah, like tortoises. Because turtles are going to do it underwater. They're not going to make any sound. And their penises look like giant leeches, like alien leeches.
Oh,
these
God.
weird, they take all these weird shapes and stuff. There's no like actual structure to it. But like a tortoise, like a Russian tortoise, they stick out their tongues and go, ah! And I woke up to that in the middle of the night because I had just got like a family of tortoises. And they were in this little box, and I hadn't made their enclosure yet. And it was night, so I just gone to sleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night hearing that sound. I was like, "What the fuck am I hearing?" And it was tortoise sex.
And now, do you do the same thing? Do you do it tortoise style?
No, there's just a lot of crying when I do it.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's take a hard left to your profession because I got a lot of questions right now. By the way, congratulations. Your business, just over a year old.
Thank you very much.
Female owned and like completely like pwned. Like you guys are dominating the real estate market.
We are doing our damnedest to do that. So, yeah.
Why is that your slogan? We'll do our damnedest.
We'll do our damnedest. Actually, our slogan is drinks first, business later. And that's just kind of it. Actually, I think, well, that's what our koozies say, but let's get moving is like what our like hashtag constantly is.
I just went to, it was a ribbon cutting and like a celebration of the first year of Vesta, brokered by EXP.
Yes.
Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Okay. And here's the thing that I will say. The swag is on point because you guys got the really nice pens.
Well, not without lots of trying. Those are my favorite pens. And I was a server, so was Emily. So like, we know the importance of a good pen. And then also, I mean, our profession is to get signatures on documents. And so if you've got a really bad pen, I mean, it just doesn't make you look good.
Showing up with a Bic ballpoint is just, it's lunacy.
With pens, it's the kind of thing where I can understand why some people might go, what's the big deal? It's a pen. It's like, you haven't written with a truly remarkable pen.
Right.
It just feels different, right? It's just the way it rolls out. I'm big into that too. Just finding place I used to work at, they had the best pens in the office supply room. I was constantly hitting those things.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this pen seems like it's a little dry. I might as well go get 5 more and then take them with me.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the most grabbed item.
I also got the tall koozie that
Nice.
fits like things like a White Claw or
Truly.
those things that people love, the taller cans now.
Yep.
When people make swag for businesses, right? There's all sorts of businesses that help you make swag,
Mm-hmm.
and most of that swag is cheaply made and crappy and is
No,
not
we really
it's
will-
not going to get used.
Yeah.
So if you make sure that your swag is top tier quality, yeah, it's going to cost you some more to make it printed, but people will use it, right?
Yeah.
If I get a T-shirt that says Cheez It on it, and the T-shirt is the most comfortable, amazing shirt, I will advertise Cheez-Its all over town
Yeah.
with that on.
So when it comes to swag, I've got a personal story that I think is a success story, which is not all swag meets all event types.
Sure.
So you might have a really nice pen, but really if you go, if you're like, if you're a Big Iron, people don't want a pen at Big Iron. Like they'll take it because farmers love free stuff.
But like beer koozies or something.
Right. So my big success story is years ago, KFGO was broadcasting out at Big Iron, and I said, we need a giveaway. And they're like, oh, why don't we do these like canvas like grocery bags? And I was like, no. Listen, those farmers don't want that. You know what they want? A 5-gallon plastic bucket. And we'll put our name on the outside and every
Yeah,
loving logo.
totally.
And so we had 600 buckets, gave all of them away in
I
under
would take
2
that.
hours.
That's
I would
what
take that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, because here's the deal. You don't expect them to keep it pristine all the time, but you know what? This bucket can be a chair for them. No one ever throws away a good bucket.
No, in fact, we're at the age now where when I think about like treating myself, like, oh, I'm going to go spend some money on something, it's for functional things that, wow, does this really improve life, especially as an aquarium owner, but just in general for house maintenance as well. Having a number of good buckets will change your life.
Oh yeah, we have 5-gallon buckets everywhere.
Everywhere, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think this is the other genius part. When you're at a place where other people are giving away swag, everything from sunglasses to yardstick, stuff like that, you know what they do with that new stuff that they got? They put it into your bucket. So your logo is always facing out. That's a JJ Gordon original, throwing it out there.
I like
but
that.
That is
That
a
being
4D
said-
chest right there, man.
you don't bring a 5-gallon bucket to business after hours with the chamber
No.
because everyone would be like, it's too cumbersome to carry this around for 2.5 hours and stuff. So that's where quality pens make a huge difference.
So we did the pens and then the 2 different types of koozies, the tall, skinny ones, and then just a normal size koozie. But then we also did, because we're in the Midwest, casserole holders, the insulated ones. We weren't giving those out.
Oh,
No.
I was like, I didn't get one of those.
I think I might have gave your sister one.
so you got
I'll
to be a
get you one.
client. I
Yeah.
see how it is.
Well, yeah, it's special, right? If you work
Right.
with us and you get this, but the casserole holders are awesome because they're insulated. They've got a zipper, they've
Yep.
got the nice pocket on top, and then it has our logo right there, right?
See, that's genius.
And guess what? You never know when you're going to need it. I've used it for just not only casseroles, I on a hot day this summer, I picked up some meat from John and Wayne's or whatever it's called.
Yep.
I got some ice and I stuck it in there because I knew I wasn't going to get home soon enough and I didn't want my nice steaks to go bad
it's just
in my car.
It's an insulated bag. I've used the same thing. Like if I get like a rotisserie chicken from Costco, and it'll keep it warm if I got to run some other errands.
All right, I'll bring you one. You can
Awesome.
have one.
See?
They're awesome.
I
But
also
then-
want to compliment you. Who made those cookies?
Oh,
because
Cookie
those
Crumbs.
were legit.
Aren't they so cute? Yeah. So Cookie Crumbs, her name's Katie Crumweedy. She actually just opened up a storefront in West Fargo on
part
Cheyenne.
of Epic, right?
Yep. And she I met her in college. We were both going to school for education. She ended up being a teacher and then started like passionately making cookies. And then like it just took off. She does like the coolest designs and she has an edible printer. So that's why our logo looked so awesome
I was
because
gonna say it was crisp.
she was able to put it in this machine, but then she, didn't have to she didn't have to make them as cute as she did, but she did with doing signs and keys. And
I was gonna say because there's a circle one, right, with
Yep.
your logo.
Yep.
Then there was a house. Then there was a key.
and then for sale sign.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I thought it was pretty sweet. So, she did that, and then, what else? Oh, and we had the photo booth, which was super cool because we wanted to do like a step and repeat, but hadn't got it done. And what's really cool about those photo booths is you put up a green screen and you can do a step and repeat right behind you. Yeah, so that was super fun. Like, I mean, lots of photos of
children.
Yeah.
I saw the kids were like, let's do it again. I'm like, treating it like it's a ride.
Yeah. Hey, it's fine. We got them all. So it was great. But
okay.
So 1 year down of being on my own.
So I want to talk to you about the craziest housing market ever. The pandemic showed a lot of people a lot of things about where they live, right? They spent more time in their houses than they had ever had before. And all of a sudden, we kickstarted the work from home movement.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people were really itching once they, by about fall of 2020, people wanted to start making some moves. Not only that, we got some extra stimulus money. And so some people who had trouble saving that last little chunk of money. I mean, if you were a household of two, within a year, you had what, $5,000 sitting there burning a hole in your pocket. So interest rates also plummet to the lowest in history.
Yep.
And so it was a perfect time if you wanted to buy a house, with the exception of everybody else wanted to buy a house.
Well, not only that, but I mean, like the pandemic, unfortunately, there's major things that move the housing market. Or I guess I should say major things in life that happen that make you decide to move, right? So unfortunately, there's job loss, right? Which means, that's kind of the ugly side of things, is people who had to sell because they couldn't afford anymore, right? There were divorces, another ugly side of things. When you're stuck inside with somebody that you don't like and you're used to being able to go out and do your own thing, and you couldn't do that, unfortunately, we saw divorces. But we also saw lots of babies,
right?
Which also means you got to get a bigger house, right? So all of those things, people being stuck inside and realizing all the things that they hate about their houses, but then also one of the coolest things that I noticed were people who were like, you know what, I can work from anywhere. Why not spend my time at a place that I love? Why are we waiting till we retire to move to the lake? Why are we waiting until, the kids are out of school before we do, the things that we really want to? And so like this idea of like the great, kind of reset of really figuring out, what are you doing? Why is it your job that's making you do the things that you do if you can work from anywhere? Because majority of businesses are allowing people to work from home because productivity went through the roof because people were happier, they were getting to do the things that they want. So getting to help people sell their homes here to move to their retirement home, or their to be closer to their kids or to be closer to friends and family that they wanted to. That was like the coolest thing, is being like, yeah, why would you wait? If you're not being held here for anything, why wait until you're old?
Who was in the best situation as far as someone who was choosing to sell their house this last
Somebody
year?
who's already got a place to go. So like good friends of mine, we just closed on their new house actually on Friday. So we were talking, and they said, should we finish our basement or should we pay off our specials? And I said, well, there's not much left to do in your basement. I mean, it was roughed in. The ceiling was done. And so they just needed trim, doors, and flooring. And I was like, do that and let's get it going. They did that. We got it done in like a month. It took a little bit longer than expected, but because, it takes forever to do any type of contract work.
Well, that's the thing too right now, right? Is that everybody, so if you decide to stay in your house, you wanted to pump some money into it as well, right?
No, right now, actually, you don't have to. But what we did for them was that because it was so close to being done and we could say then it was a completed house, we just did it because I did see the value. I definitely saw the numbers would increase by having a completed basement. So got that done. This is a $430,000 house that we put on the market, and it went, or $440,000. I think we got 4 offers on it. We got them right close to $450,000 cash, close in 2 weeks.
What?
But what was great for them is that they have a lake home. I mean, not everybody falls in this, right?
Right.
They didn't have to buy a house right away. So they were in the best position possible because they were like, sure, we'll move our stuff out. We'll go stay here. And then, so that was in June or July of last year. And like I said, we just found them their new house on Friday is when they closed on that. And so they still have all this time to make that because they're going to do a bunch of work to that house before they move in. So those are the people that are in the right position, or people like your sister. You know, they found a great house, but they didn't have to. We were able to kind of move at a slower pace for them,
Right, because there wasn't contingent on an offer on their current house.
Absolutely.
Which that's got to be the really hard thing, right? Is because if you say, well, yes, we'll accept this, but it's contingent on us having an offer accepted on another home, that's where you get into a sticky wicket.
Right. So like your sister was able, I mean, we had like a week or two that they had in between of like, they were able to get everything moved from the old house to the new house and then still have time to like get it cleaned and everything before closing, which is great. So people who have the next idea plan or something already in place are in the best position possible. But right now, I mean, you don't have to do all those projects because people are desperate, you know? You obviously want to leave them with a great house. You know, if there's things that you've broken in your house, fucking fix them, you know? Like, don't leave it like our storm door is broken, but we've been able to deal with it because, you know,
we don't have
just
a dog,
us.
so we don't worry
we don't
about
really
it.
care. Well, somebody else is going to care, you know? Or if there's, you know, cracks in your flooring or things that, especially like things that you maybe have done to the house out of your own like stupidity or negligence, or just like you broke something.
Stop looking at me like that. I know I'm a 95% completionist.
Right. No, I'm just saying you just gotta, if you're gonna pass it on, you want to pass on something great. Because how I've, you know, just been in the position where it sucks. Like I have clients that move into a house and we figure out, you know, that everything's being held together with wood glue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously you do an inspection, you do all your due diligence as much as possible to make sure that the house is in great shape. But some people are really good at hiding shit.
Oh, sure. I heard a recent sale where someone said, like, look at all these nice new, like floor to ceiling cabinets that they put in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they put that in because behind they had an old, like rotted away, like bunch of drywall and stuff like that.
Oh,
so they
God.
just used this to hide it. And within a month, that mold now is on the inside of the cabinets.
Wait, it was moldy?
It was moldy, yeah. They had a
God.
pipe that had burst, and they didn't do the right kind of water mitigation. They cleaned up with like a shop vac. And they thought that they're good to go. And they're like, well, we'll do this because this will help sell the house. What's the thing that people do the most that they think,
what? Sorry.
the thing that people do the most where they think they're going to get like, oh, I'm going to put some money into this and I'll get quadruple out of it. And then they find out that it's not really as popular
like
as they think.
upgrading appliances, I think, you know, that's great. But what if you put in an electric range and you spend all that money and like the new person's heart is set on gas? And so it's like, yeah, that's great, but I'm going to have to pay to have that changed out. And I think people always think that they've got to do the painting and the flooring, which I will also say is about the easiest way to do simple upgrades for your house, you know? I think that overdoing things like, especially doing things that you personally prefer,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you lose the money. Because if you make something super customizable to yourself, how many other people are going to like it, you know? So going as neutral as possible is the best thing that you can do. I think new carpets are like the nicest thing that you can do for somebody.
Because it also changes the smell.
Absolutely.
Of your house.
Yep. Yeah. Even if it's like not, you know, like really, if you don't have animals and things like that. But I mean, it makes such a huge difference of just knowing like when you're walking into a place that it's new carpet and hasn't been through the ringer.
Yep.
yet.
Think about what it feels like when you put on new underwear or socks,
Mhm.
like brand
Oh,
new.
I love
Yeah.
that feeling.
That's what you're doing for the house.
Well, and carpet's cheap, you know, like
Yeah.
you can go to the carpet store and you just say, I'm selling my house. They've got a whole section for you that's
Yep.
just specifically like selling your house carpet.
Have you ever seen the inside of the house that I'm currently living in right now?
I don't think I've been in there.
Okay. because when it comes to cheap carpet, I think this carpet was free.
Yeah.
That's in that house.
And I
where
don't
there
think
is carpet.
Is it tacked in or is it?
I mean,
I don't think that there's so it's a slab on grade home, and I think that it's right over the concrete. I don't think even think there's a pad.
Oh.
No, I don't think so.
So there's
either.
no subflooring or
No.
Everywhere where there
I
isn't
suppose-
carpet, there's stone tile.
Yeah.
is there a crawl space in that house?
No. It
It's
is
literal
just
There's
just-
no basement. There's no. It
That's
is
the one on 3rd Street, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Near Elephant Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super interesting home. I don't own it. I rent it, so it's not like
yeah,
something
it's your
I'm
dad's
looking.
place, right?
Yeah. So it's not something that. But
So I mean, I know what the outside. I don't know if I was ever in that.
the
house.
more I live in there though, because I could always see the potential of him saying, "Hey, would you ever want to buy it for me someday?" And so I've just gamed out
probably should.
what would that like? What would it look like if I did? Because it wouldn't actually be a bad buy. Because I think
I think that location's perfect.
That location's
Plus, then
perfect
if you could hang
because-
on to it, and then if you wanted to find something else, and you could use that as a rental property.
right.
Your dad shouldn't sell it. He should keep doing that while you go find a new house.
right. But like, let's say I was to buy it and then live there. I mean, my first step would be like considering like, what do we need to do to completely change this home? Because
Sure.
it needs a complete, short of just flattening the damn thing and building anew, it needs a complete relayout. It needs everything.
That was probably built in 58?
Maybe. And
Maybe
it looks like someone just made their own changes on the inside of it even before he owned it.
Mhm.
So like it could only really ever support one person living on their own. Maybe a
Right.
couple with like
Because it's
little,
a 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
2-bedroom, 1 bath, but everything is teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Well, I mean, it's a small house.
yes, it's
Square
very,
footage
very
is
teeny
really
tiny. And it looks like people who may have owned it made small changes over time that were all slapdash and what have you. So the whole thing just needs to be completely done. And so I don't even know gaming that out in the future. Like, what does it cost in that area to just flatten that place and build something new, or just to gut the inside
You
and
gut the inside.
at least change the interior of it?
I don't know. I feel like you would probably want like your plumbing is all coming up through the concrete base. So I feel like you know where your kitchen and where your bathroom's going to be, but the problem is that everything else is kind of hodgepodge. So
And the layout of those is terrible.
Right.
Like that, the layout of everything needs to change. It just does.
and he's like, it's got a huge, like the garage is in the back attached to an alley. And so he's got this huge backyard space, but because of the way the house kind of comes in the deck, it's unusable space right out of there. And you don't have a direct door to the backyard, which I think would be baller. If you had
There's-
like a kitchen door that led out to the backyard so you didn't have
Right.
to go through the driveway and around.
Right.
I think you would, if that was my place, I would level it because I think it's going to cost you more in trying to work around what you already have.
Right.
than
The
figure out
pluses
a
for
new
it is that it's in
footprint.
an amazing neighborhood.
Mhm.
The values are just going to keep going up.
Yeah.
The mature trees are gorgeous.
Yeah, I would love to live in North Fargo, in one of the developed, older areas for sure.
What's the nicest bathroom you've ever seen?
I actually just took a picture of one. That it was just really, really well thought out. And I'm not opposed to a tub. I'm just not much of a tub person. So
Okay.
I enjoyed that the focus was more on the shower. Like, I love the idea of having a shower that is just, you can just stand and like, you don't have
Yep.
to do anything.
Yep.
It cleans you. We actually just stayed up at Grandview Lodge, one of our
Whoa.
favorites, last weekend. And the shower that was in our cabin was huge. Like, I mean, it's about the size. It was like the size of our bathroom at home. And it was such useless space because there was a bench in there. I mean, it was a perfect sex shower, but like where the shower head hit and where the bench, I mean, it like there was a lot of room for activities, but you were going to get cold
Okay.
if you were
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
those activities.
Yep.
So,
A lot of space for eating chicken strips though in that shower.
yeah, chicken strips in the shower. Why not?
Mhm.
But I would say the nicest bathroom was the focus on a nice shower and then heated floors. But I'm not somebody who enjoys having to walk through the bathroom to get to my closet.
Mm-hmm.
I like those things to be separate. I am in favor, though, of a laundry room. Oh, kind of like your sister's. But that's different. I like the idea of the separation between a closet and a shower and a bathroom of being a laundry room.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too.
Because then you can just throw shit.
I sent you guys a picture of one of the things that was a happy accident from when I remodeled my bathroom.
Oh, God.
Which is when you're sitting on the throne, it faces
the mirror.
It's a giant entire wall mirror that actually has a closet behind it. And I find myself like I can check in with myself during the day because then I'm waving myself. And I took a photo of myself on that bathroom toilet and I sent it to you guys just now.
You have a lot of questionable photo taking practices.
Really? You think so?
Well, horse dicks you on the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say this. I really zoomed in to make sure that there's nothing extra. Just to be safe. I like the idea of a laundry room, bathroom, closet, except for the fact of sometimes things happen in the bathroom that you don't necessarily want to be involved with the rest of the house, right? Like, what if you have...
every day that happens.
Right. Or a
lot of things happen.
Even just throw ups and stuff like that.
Right.
Too. Here's the one thing I don't like about modern day laundry rooms. I don't feel like modern day laundry rooms take into account the amount of laundry you need to store in that room.
Sure. Yeah.
While you're also doing I would love a laundry room that is, like you said, is connected to a closet so that I don't have to right now, all of it piles up and it never makes it into the closet that's 10 feet away from where it is.
Right.
And so I love that for the put away aspect of it. So when I remodeled my master bath, it went from a pocket shower and a little tiny low rise toilet. And then the sink was in the vanity area to a jetted tub, walk-in shower with rain head, and this new elongated toilet that you can flush 10 golf balls at a time in. It's great. It's called the Titan Elite. I did a lot of research on it before I bought it. Here's the downside. I took space away from the laundry room to do this because I used to have an enormous laundry room. And I regret that from time to time that I did that.
I think too, people forget that you need to have a spot to fold the clothes.
Right.
So these smaller, in a lot of the new construction that I see, it's basically they put a washer and dryer in a closet and they call that a laundry room. But you need space, like you said, for storing things, but also to just have a spot right there to fold or hang up clothes. So then that way, for me, I'm terrible at, I'll get the clothes out of the dryer and then they just go and they sit in the bedroom, But if I were to actually sit there, fold them, hang them up, then it increases the likelihood that those clothes would go from hanging up in the laundry room to hanging up in the bedroom. It might take a while. But at least it's up and it's off the floor. But I think a lot of times it's just, where are we going to put this washer and dryer? Oh, right here. That's it. And
I also love having a good utility sink.
No, yeah.
Because I don't have a utility sink right now, so you have to use whatever you have access to. But those are just so useful, so valuable, just to clean the weirdest, especially if you're painting or if you do stuff like I do, aquarium stuff, where you'd like to have a sink that you can just process all that stuff in.
So I want to do a pet wash station.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So our laundry room is on our main floor, which is great. And it's big. What I'd like is to have a door that goes outside because we don't have a door that goes to the back of our house because everything is facing east. And there's no reason, not really to go back there, but I'd like to do that. And that would be the mudroom entrance. And in there, do a low floor that's all tiled with the drain and then a shower head there. And so then that's where the dogs will come in so I can rinse them off. Because right now we're bringing them into the bathroom and rinsing them off there. And it's just a mess. And right now when the weather goes, from spring to summer, it is just, they're getting
mud nonstop
every day. Yeah. And especially Richard. he's just so low to the ground and has such long hair.
It's no good whatsoever.
He's a dirty dick.
He's a little, and he's a guy. Here's the thing. I think it's tough to explain to animals too how listen, I need to clean you so that you don't get everything else messy. And they're like, what? No, not the water. I hate the water.
I hate the water.
We just had to take our dogs in to get groomed.
I'm doing that Tuesday.
And our dogs hate the groomers. Hate them so much that we're actually going to experiment with CBD oil the next time we go in to see if it'll calm them down a little bit. Here's the big issue when it comes to, like, I think getting a dog groomed nowadays is we've got dogs that are non-shedding dogs, right? So they shed like a human being would. So a couple hairs here, a couple hairs there. It's not like a golden retriever sheds. Well, when they get their winter coats on and it's tough enough, the hair grows around their butt. And then, like, if they get a dangly pupe, like, it ends up getting matted up in the fur. And then we call it bad butt. And so Jill will be like, George, do you have a bad butt? Do you have a bad butt? And then we have to take care of that, right? It was getting to the point of where I was washing and shaving my dog's butts once a week at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess my dogs don't have bad butts.
I mean, dogs are supposed to lick their butts, right? And do that cleaning for you?
Yeah, but when you get like a big old thing like
A
knocked in
dingleberry?
there, yeah, like, I mean, you don't want them licking away 3 ounces of poop.
Like those little like briars that stick to you from like the woods. When
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like little
Cockleburr.
Cockleburrs. Poopleburrs.
Yeah, that's gross. Let's move on.
Okay. So the saddest fart I've ever seen. Our dog Neely got a bunch of cockleburrs, got loose in Hillsboro and went running down by the river and ended up like and she was so coated in them that she couldn't like move anymore, right?
Yeah.
So Pete and Claudia combed out everything that they could, and you could tell it was hurting her, and you know, she's trying to gnaw them away, just awful. And so she came back to the house, and Jill and I are working, and I'm holding her with her back against my chest, and I'm like holding her like legs out so that Jill can use a comb to brush these things out. And at one point, like, you hear boop, and I look Neely in the eyes, and she's so ashamed. But she's so tired from a day of that. And I was like, don't worry, sweetheart.
It's okay.
It's gonna be all right.
We have in our north woods of our property, we have some of these bushes that have like these sharp little things on them. We call them devil's lice because they're just tiny and they are sharp and they get stuck to you just like a cockapoo does, but they're itty bitty. So we took the dogs stupidly walking through there. This is when we discovered that we had the devil's lice. And poor Richard with his hair just, I mean, covered head to toe, and then in his ears, really, really bad. And then it wasn't this past summer, but the summer before, our first summer there, that spring, the ticks were so terrible. I mean, it was disgusting, like absolutely disgusting. And Blanche had been out in the pasture playing around, and we didn't really think anything of it. And then when she came inside, I started feeling, and she had ticks. I swear she probably had 100 ticks on her little body. We put her in like an apple cider vinegar, like just to try to get them to like die off. That didn't work. Like we basically had to, and Blanche does not like to be combed. She doesn't like, she's got very specific spots where she likes you to pet her. Other than that, like leave her the fuck alone. And I just felt so horrible. Luckily, I mean, we give them the flea and tick stuff, so like they'll die off eventually. But I mean, she was covered. I wouldn't even let her sleep in the bed with us because they were everywhere.
Go right onto you.
Yeah, and so then Kyle slept with her out in the living room because I was like, no, we can't have these. It's like bed bugs basically. So last year not as bad, and so I'm hoping this year. Last year we just had the grasshopper freaking
It was quite the I guess
biblical.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Locust.
It was like a biblical locust, like one of the 7 things that happened in Egypt.
Yeah, it was like I've never ever seen anything like that. I'll give JJ a picture if he wants to share it on there because it's absolutely disgusting. Now we have to. We're hoping that we'll be able to get it managed because I mean they're still all there. They just go down, and so in the spring.
Luckily, I mean we had a pretty cold winter, so I think that'll kill off. So that was part of the thing with the emerald ash borer is when it was just making its way into our area, we had that really cold year where we had the cold snap of like a continuous chunk of like severely cold days. And so that kept, that killed some of the larvae. And so
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see what we can
see. I don't know. I mean, they ate like half of our corn. Like they got after all of our potatoes. It was bad. So hopefully not this year.
you guys were talking at the very beginning about you remembering a field trip that you went on. Did you guys ever go to Buffalo River State Park?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a couple
Okay.
times.
So for those of you not in our listening area or in the area where we're broadcasting from, Buffalo River State Park is like, it's right along the river, Buffalo River. It's got a science center attached to it. It's all about embracing sort of the natural ecology of our area here. So I just recently had a flashback to a time when in elementary school we went to Buffalo River State Park, and we were paired up as mommy bears and daddy bears. And so the mama bear's job was to go and find like the cub that they had lined up, and they're like, oh, you got to find a specific cub, and these were you're looking for the markings. And so essentially it was like, what do bears in our region look like, and what are the attributes? And the daddy bear's job was to go and forage for food. And so they had taken all these laminated things and put them in trees and bushes and stuff that said like 5 berries and stuff like that. So I was a daddy bear, obviously. And so as a daddy bear,
I don't think that's that obvious, JJ.
oh, isn't it? So as a daddy bear, I went out and I thrived because I'm like, I know what I'm looking for, right?
I can
like,
see you just like scratching your back against
trees and then like acorns are falling down.
attacking hunters.
So I bring back what the woman's like, wow, you did a good job foraging because you have enough to last like 4 winters, and you and your mama bear thrive, and you have 2 cubs, and you guys, you guys are the king of winter or whatever. So this last week, and I won't say her full name because she listens to this podcast, but kudos to you, Molly, because I was at dinner and someone put their hands around my eyes and they were like, hi, Daddy Bear. And I was like, what? And now I haven't seen her face to face in 15 years, probably. But she brought up that like excursion we had to Buffalo River State Park, and I had forgotten completely about it until
And
she started talking about it.
You were her daddy bear?
I was her daddy. She was my mommy.
That's,
And we had great cubs.
I guess
Like,
so.
yeah, we really knocked that one out of the park. And we're talking about 1993, 94. Like, it was a long time ago.
My memory of going to Buffalo State Park is mostly doing compasses. Like
Yep.
they gave us compasses, and you had to navigate yourself from like all these different points.
But I even did it in college for like I think it was like biology or earth science in the classroom. And we would go and watch birds, and because they've got like a great bird watching place with like, and there's all these different types of birds that come
I
in.
think they've got bat houses too, so you can check out the bats.
Yeah, I think that there's a bat I think that there's one in my Quonset.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bats freak me out though.
They should.
The rabies.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but the fact that they're nocturnal and that,
But
from what I
nocturnal,
understand.
I thought coyotes were nocturnal, and I saw a coyote the other day, and it was during the day.
Yeah, they come out during the day,
Yeah, this
but
one
they
was
also hunt at
hungry.
night. Yeah.
So I walk past my kitchen window and see something out in the field. Don't really think about it. And then I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And I look out there, big coyote came into our yard. Dogs are inside, so I'm happy. I'm not going to let them out. But then I start thinking about the kitties.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
yeah.
ooh,
And your chickens,
kitty.
like, what
No,
if that
kitty-
thing wanted to like break into the coop?
where it's very predator proof. Like we spent a lot of time, money, and research on making it predator proof. I wasn't worried about them, but I was worried about kitties.
Yeah, especially
So-
get backed up into a corner or something.
Yeah, so I look out and I can see one of the kitties, and he was like hiding in a shadow, which I was like, good job, Peanut.
Mhm.
Then I can't find the other 2. And I'm like looking all over the property. It's 12 acres. They've got spots where they're always at. I don't need to go across the field to find them. There's spots that they go that I know. And so I'm like, geeky, geeky. And I'm like shaking the treat bag, trying to hear him, trying to find him. I can't find him anywhere. I call Kyle and I'm like, well, what the fuck's he gonna do? And I'm not gonna call
Oh, they're
him and
with me
upset
right
him.
now. I brought him to work.
Right? And so then I
Oh, I know that
like,
coyote. He's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, I finally go like back around where our Kwanzaa and our grain bins, so like on the far end of our property, and I'm just like, kitties. Like I'm upset. I'm thinking something terrible's happened. So I do see some paw prints, and then I finally just hear this like super quiet. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna walk into? What am I gonna find? Luckily, they're so smart. They went up in the tree.
Mhm.
And they're
Oh.
so camouflaged. Like you can't see them at all. One of them's got like a white belly, but then like has like black and gray and brown. And so like because of the snow on the tree, you literally wouldn't be able to see it. And so
Right.
then in my head, I'm like, I want to get them locked into the barn because there's this coyote that's out and I don't want it to come back and get them. So I take forever trying to get this fucking cat down from the tree. And I was like, it's a fucking cat. It does not need my help to get down from this tree.
Right.
It can do it on its own. So then I finally get him down, lock him into the barn by just putting this like piece of metal over their kitty door and then go on with my day. And when I got home, I had asked Kyle, I was like, oh, did you let the cats out of the barn? He goes, they escaped no shit 2 minutes after you left the house. I'm like, he's like, I don't know how you did it, but you did not do a very good job of making sure that those cats were locked into the barn. So, but they're fine. But that coyote, that was the only time that we saw him.
I think like small dogs are the ones that are really at danger because they can't really get away.
Right. So what they do is right now is like the mating time for coyotes.
Oh.
So their testosterone is pumping. So what they do is, yeah, they'll get a dog or an animal, and what they do is they lure it out, and then they chase them, and then they surround them as a pack and get them. So that's always the fear. But we've seen them a couple on our trail cams. We can hear them at night, especially like early summer. And then there's like a group of rednecks down the road that they like love coyote hunting. So we'll hear like that, "Ow!" and then
Bang,
pop,
bang.
pop, pop, pop. So it's been pretty good. Plus, also, I guess they, if they smelled urine, like male urine or dog male urine, it really throws them off.
So Kyle just
like
pees all over
Kyle
the property.
pees everywhere. Yeah, like and you know we've got 2 male dogs.
God, I'm protecting the house.
Would
Yep.
you like us to store some urine for you, like
Sure.
some jars?
Just go and spray it around.
No, just like you just drive to my house
So,
every time you gotta
like
pee.
you can buy deer urine.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't
I'm
know
sure
that
there's
until
deer.
recently.
I mean, we've
How do they
got so
collect
many
it?
deer on our property. Like, there's
a
plenty
good
of deer.
question.
How do they collect deer urine?
I mean, that little boy collected Tyrannosaurus pee in Jurassic Park 3.
Well, yeah, because I mean, hunters will put like deer pee on them.
I'm guessing that they just
Like
like
mask their smell.
they have
Mhm.
deers that wear like diapers that collect. They have to, or something, right? They'd have to be just some device that's like, yep, they're walking around, they're going to pee into this thing, and then we'll take it off them.
Or maybe they have them like in a pen that has like a drain on the floor or something like that. You know, that'd be awful. Be
Remember
horrible.
Deer Town?
Deertown, USA. Do you remember when we drove specifically all the way to Park Rapids, Minnesota to go to Deertown and then found out it's a used car lot now?
Yeah, when we were just up at Grandview, there was like deer that were like hanging out that were just like so comfortable with humans that they were like right there, and that's all I could think about was this dumb looking deer from Deertown and the bear that drank the soda pop.
I was talking to someone recently from Niswa, Minnesota, where Grandview Lodge is. And I was explaining this place that we had dinner after an improv show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember they had sweet potato fries and they came with marshmallow fluff? And it was the first time I had ever seen sweet potato fries with marshmallow fluff.
Yeah.
So I'm explaining this place to this person that goes, no, there's no restaurant up there that's like that at all. And I was like, well, it would have been from, like 9-10 years ago at this point. No, I've lived there my whole life. There's no restaurant within 50 miles of that place that's like you describe. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this place existed. Do you think it's possible that we went to like a place that burned down like in the 20s and it was a
We
ghost
went to
experience?
like a
What color was the moon that night? Yeah.
You can't tell.
Didn't we have another experience like that? I felt like I don't know why. I'm just thinking of like, didn't we like, I don't know. Maybe it was. I feel
mean,
like
there was the
something
time.
else happened like at a Subway or I don't know. I just got like this weird, like,
Like at a Subway restaurant?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
where
I
they're-
just like got this weird like deja vu-y like nostalgic feeling of someplace that we went that was like that it happened, but it didn't happen.
I count myself as one of the luckiest individuals to have spent a huge part of my 20s traveling around the region with the line benders. And nowadays, the worst thing I can think of in the world is having to go and stay at a hotel overnight
I know,
in a small
but
town.
we had so much fucking
We
fun.
had so many great adventures.
So yeah, if anybody doesn't know this, JJ and I traveled with an improv comedy troupe constantly in
All
our
the time.
20s. And it was for things for corporate events like Christmas parties, post proms. What else did we do? Yeah, like it was just random shit.
Like team building stuff and so
fundraisers, things like that. And so there was one time that we were on the road for like a full week where we went from Fargo then all the way out to Harvey. Was that trip?
Harvey, New Rockford, Minot. I feel like Devil's Lake was our last stop. It was the last night on the road.
Because we were going to stay in that shitty hotel and then we decided to go to the shooting star or whatever that casino is.
We
instead.
went to a hotel in Devil's Lake that had no other cars in the parking lot. It was a Sunday night because I don't remember what, it was a group doing their Christmas party, I think.
Yeah.
And the guy who checked us in put the guys at the one end and the girls on another floor at the complete opposite end, which seemed really sketch.
Yes.
Now, that's not the reason we didn't stay, though. We went to the pool, and Zach put his finger into the pool, and when he pulled it out, like a film came off on his finger. And I said, guys, good news. I'm springing for rooms at the casino.
Yeah. And it was but wasn't there somebody like in our room?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's nobody there except they checked the two girls into a room that already had somebody in it.
It was 3 girls, right? Because wasn't Lauren Rowe with us on that trip?
Yep.
Yeah. So you, Britta, and Lauren?
Yeah. It was fucking weird.
Oh, boy.
But then we didn't even get to go. We still like got ready at that hotel because we had to get to our show. And then it was like, we're going to go to the new hotel.
Everyone bring your stuff with because we're not coming back here.
And Britta was the only one smart enough to bring shower shoes.
Yeah, that was smart. That was smart.
Super smart.
We had some really amazing adventures when we were out there for the line benders. And I feel like we should get a bunch of us together for a podcast and just tell like the stories.
About that stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's stuff we can talk about and others that we can't.
We can't talk about some of it.
That would be a multi-part episode for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, some of the best times ever. We were super fortunate to get to do that.
I'm super fortunate to know you, Natalie. Like we have a lot of fun when we get together. And thanks for all the free pens.
Were you the one that took the most?
I mean, I took 3.
Oh, nice.
But I also was going to take, like, you guys had your business cards and these really cute, like, little flower things. And I was going to take one of those.
The flowers?
Yeah.
That would have been rude.
Why? It's not a table full of stuff to take. You should have been better. You should have glued that stuff down.
Yeah, I guess so. But nobody did take them.
Yeah.
No.
You got them back.
Yeah.
Natalie LaPlante. Always a pleasure to have you on JJ Meets
Thanks
World.
for having me. It's been a blast.
What a great way to start off daylight savings.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And hey, I don't feel that affected by it yet, but then again.
I do because I forgot to prep something that needed to air this morning. So I got a last minute call saying, hey, you forgot to do this. And so I had to get up really early, drive into work and be like, oh God.
Do you think we'll live that in our lifetimes, we'll see a world where they figure out this is the dumb way to do time? Like, let's do a new version of time where we're not having to like change things twice a year.
I mean,
there's a swell for it. I mean, there are people like, I think the North Dakota state legislature is dealing with it, but it actually takes an act of Congress to make it happen.
I remember when I first found out why daylight savings time happens, and I was super high. I was with James Wood, and we had gone to a concert to watch Bryce and Maya's band at one of like the old what was it called? The show? Trentino.
Oh, a long time ago.
And I was so high. And
what was their band called?
I can't remember, but Bryce had
Midas Touch.
Yeah. And so we were talking about daylight because it must have just happened. And then they were like, it's because of the farmers. And I was like, what? That's why we have daylight savings time? that makes so much sense. And I like went on and on about it. I'm like, it gives them more time in the field. It allows them for more daylight. It makes total fucking sense. And then I was just like, I'm so fucking high right now. And I like don't even smoke weed.
Yeah.
So I was like super high. And I was like, I don't know, probably like 16, 17 years old.
So if anyone would like to buy or sell their home, then they contact Vesta.
Yeah, Vesta Real Estate.
So that I tie that
Don't
onto
worry,
the-
I'm not high.
If you want a real person with real stories, have you sold a house that you were like, I know I've definitely been to a house party in this place before?
Yes. There's stuff I can tell you off of here of things like that. But I was gonna tell you because we talked about haunted houses.
Yeah.
A few times when I've been on here. So recently there's a house that was on the market. I'm not gonna say where or anything like that, but I was talking to the agent who had it listed, and she was telling me that all of the feedback was that like just weird stuff kept on happening in the house, and it's a really old like character style home. I'll tell you guys where it is after this, but it's super cool. Like, but when you walked in, I guess like they were trying to keep the blinds open just because it was really dark in there. And every time somebody would come there, the blinds would be closed again. Doors would shut while people were in there. And like everybody just said, like when they walked in, they just had an instant like really creepy feeling as soon as they got in there. And I was like, do you think it's haunted? She's like, and I guess the agent she like had contacted somebody who would come in there and maybe talk to the spirit, but I haven't heard anything else about it. But I just realized that was the first time I had actually heard of some sort of like paranormal stuff happening in a house.
Let's do a overnight podcast in like a haunted house somewhere or like a haunted
no way.
building. I would do it.
Why
Didn't
would
Steve
you risk
Maloney
that?
do that? I felt like he did because
They
you
went
guys were
out to
trying
like
to convince.
Absaraka or
I'd
something.
done the Absaraka though thing too, but I remember on one of our trips, they had talked about going someplace and they actually like got it on film, and you guys were trying to convince me that ghosts were real.
Yeah, because it's fun to try and scare you.
I know. I think that you guys just did it to me on purpose.
I mean,
just
we've
to,
had
like-
previous guests who like you can't tell them that because they'll be like, no, don't tell me that, no, because it freaks them
Isn't
out.
that how Jason is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to be polite.
Yeah, Jason Jacobson
Yeah,
specifically.
he does not
Is
like
that how
ghosts.
beep is?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jason specifically. Jason, who I work with here at H2M.
And
in
he
Fargo.
he full on believes in like the haunting nature of stuff. And I mean, I've told my experience on here of like when all those people on my 18th birthday went out to the graveyard and something followed them back that I heard running in the woods and then got closer and closer and then ran clomp, clomp, clomp right in front of us on the deck and then back into the woods onto those crinkly leaves. And I am freaked out about it. So much so that like every now and then when I'm alone in my house, I worry.
So when I just went to Charleston in November, I did a ghost tour of Charleston, which is really cool. But that was Kyle's biggest thing. He's like, don't you be bringing back any of those ghosts now. Because that's what it is. I mean, he showed us
Were you
pictures
married
of
to a
stuff.
Southern
I was
mayor?
gonna
Well,
say,
that's
like,
how the guy...
Oh, Lordy, you brought back one of
That's
them
how
shiny
did he warn you
That's how
not
the
to go
tour-
up that road?
Yeah, that's how the tour guides talk, you know? Well, I mean, because they're
Yeah, but
Southern.
is Kyle a tour guide? Because you're saying like Kyle's like, don't bring back one of them ghosts.
No, I was just trying to get us
Oh,
into the
Pappy,
mode
oh,
of
Pappy.
it. No, he does not talk like that, but the tour guides did.
Did.
And it's super creepy. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happened in Charleston. Pretty much everywhere you step in Charleston, you're walking over a dead body.
Well, yeah, because of this, the wars, all the wars,
Yeah, and then there's like,
and then like we get like dysentery.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of dysentery.
Are you going to be buried on your property?
Oh, I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, because who knows?
Do you have to disclose that if someone's buried on your property?
Oh, of course you do.
I mean,
absolutely.
But like legally, do you have to disclose that?
Yes. I would assume
I
you
don't
have
think
to.
you get a choice in doing that.
Like it has to be on your disclosure. So like,
No. I don't think you can just say like, I want to bury Grandpa Gil in the backyard,
why not?
because there's rules for things like that. You can't just put a
Are
body
there?
wherever you want. Yeah. You can't just put a body wherever you want
We do it with pets.
that are not human.
So
I think you have to get like a
we're all
special
sacks
permit
of
to like
flesh.
bury a freaking horse. Like you can't just put your.
Now, do you need a permit to bury a horse?
I think you do.
Well, I mean, you need a big scoop.
Usually when they bury horses, they actually don't even bury the full body. It's like if you're giving a horse a burial, you're burying hooves and mane. And I actually know this from like Kentucky stuff because horses are big in Kentucky, and burying a horse, would just be a massive. So usually the horse body is actually being cremated or something to destroy it because it's so big. But if you're gonna give a horse a funeral, oftentimes like famous racehorses, it'll be their mane and their hooves that'll get buried, but everything else will get cremated.
What if you're not a famous horse? What if you're not the Tom Cruise of horses?
Cremation.
Or
the glue factory.
reprocessing
you need
into
a
something
big
else.
crematorium even for that.
Yeah,
Like
reprocessing into something else.
glue.
JJ, you cannot just bury a human body.
I'm gonna find out about that.
That's fine. You can. I mean, you
clearly
can sprinkle ashes, but I think you even need a permit to sprinkle ashes.
You
places.
don't need a permit.
I
to
think you're
sprinkle
supposed
ashes.
to.
You're supposed. If it's private property, you need to get the like agreement of the person whose private property is.
Right.
I know that for a fact in Minnesota because I've been the person who's had to make that decision several times. Thanks, Western Entertainment Festival.
Plot
and by the way,
twist.
it's a no-go. We do not allow that. I know that your uncle loves spending 1 week every summer out there.
People
but I
wanted
do-
to spread the ashes at WeFest.
and they do all the time.
Oh my God. Was the urn of giant fucking beer glass?
Yeah, it's an old like PBR pounder.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing: if you only knew how many people's like remains were scattered out there, you'd be shocked. A lot of times they want to be able to do it and like have like a ceremony, and so people can come in off like who don't have tickets off the ground, and then that's when you're like, no, you can't do that, but they do it anyway. And I'm like,
my last dying wish is to have my ashes sprinkled over a redneck festival with a bunch of my drunk buddies. Are you fucking kidding me?
And can you imagine this? Like,
Are
if
you
your
kidding me?
I'm not. If your final resting place is where like a porta potty burned down the
Right.
next year, or
there's so many like terrible things that have happened at that festival
Yeah,
that it's
right?
like, that's how you
I struggle
wanna
with the idea of going to WeFest alive.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right?
But then,
The idea of going to it dead.
and that you're there forever.
Mm-hmm. Some people just like it. Some people just want to live forever at the Sioux Pass Ranch.
Is there a plot twist to this where we're going to find out there are generations of Gordons in the backyard of your family's home?
Yeah.
No, we're mostly buried in in cemeteries.
You know, it was weird because we just buried my grandmother in Kentucky, but we didn't actually bury her. She's in a crypt.
Yeah, that's my grandpa's same way.
Yeah, like in a wall.
Yep.
And she's interred, I guess you would call it, or something, right next to my grandpa. And so when he died in like 1987, she bought right next to his. Like, this is where
Yeah.
I'm going to be too the entire time. So she's known for at least 35 or
Where
so
she's gonna
years
be.
where she was going to be resting. And then watching the process of being put in there was super interesting because I've seen caskets get lowered, I've seen ashes be sprinkled, I've seen all that stuff, but I've never seen just trying to like shove a casket on like a roller, like a
Oh
really.
wait, but she wasn't cremated.
She was not cremated, and neither was he. So I mean, the full body
Oh.
in a coffin in a wall,
Oh,
like a wall that holds coffins outdoors.
I was thinking like a.
Right, but yeah, normally, like if you were to get cremated and then you were going to have your
Put
remains
in-
interned somewhere,
Yeah.
it's going to be in
They've,
something
yeah,
like that.
they've got both of those. So like the
Interesting.
mausoleum that's at like the Riverside
Right.
Cemetery has places for both urns and
okay.
for
Yeah.
like it looks like a morgue, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the slab that rolls out and you roll the coffin in and then you put the granite over it. And
Yeah, and the reasoning, I guess, for Mama Luke was that she was so superstitious about being considered dead on accident when she wasn't.
was
And
she?
so
Did she have a bell in her coffin?
No, but she thought that if I'm above ground, I can still find a way to get out of the wall. But if I'm below ground, chances are I'm not getting out.
She's not gonna get out of that wall.
She's not getting out of that wall. I mean, she
See,
was
I think that's the whole thing about being cremated is like you kind of reduce that chance,
right, like of
being
some sort of
alive.
You
reanimation.
don't reduce it; you completely take it off the table.
Right. I mean, but if
You
you do
burn-
wake up, you're gonna be dead in like 2 seconds.
Right.
Anyways.
You'd be like, oh.
I want a tomb, like a really extravagant, like you have to solve a riddle to get inside and find my body. And even then I want statues like protecting it and stuff, and there to be some ceremony on the inside of that. That's what I
Okay,
would
Pharaoh.
want. I want a sarcophagus.
Yeah, I was like, and yeah. So what are like the secrets that you're hiding with you in your death
I'm not telling
that
you.
would make people want to come and find you?
I guess you'll have to break into my tomb to find out. And
Someone call Brendan Fraser.
risk the curse. I
Uh,
just watched a 20-minute YouTube video made by a Korean channel about where are they now for the cast of The Mummy. Every single member of the cast. A few of them have died from heart attacks.
really?
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz is doing all right.
She's doing great.
Yeah. When I'm done, I want to go Frank Reynolds style. Like, you can just throw me in the garbage.
Okay.
I got no use anymore.
That's
no
not
big
true.
deal.
We've already, you guys have already talked about this on here, and that is not what you want to happen.
Yeah,
with
but
your
I
body.
mean, no, my funeral. I want a friggin' funeral, but with my body, I just don't really care. Like, you could eat part of it if you want. You shoot some into space. You can do whatever you want. I mean, if you think that it'd be fun to like give me to something,
Can I weekend at Bernie's you?
you sure can.
I'm thinking small pop-up circus tent, middle of a field, one person at a time, $5 admission. You've got 10 minutes alone with JJ. Whatever happens,
Whatever you want
happens.
to do. Did you ever see? You ever watch that show, The Great, on Hulu? It's about Catherine the Great
I've
in Russia.
watched the first couple. I haven't gotten through it all, but yeah.
I've only watched the first episode, but like the Russian Tsar, or whoever is, I can't remember what his name is, but he's got his mom in that glass enclosure, like his dead
Mommy.
mother.
Are you talking about the Romanovs?
Yeah. And so, like, because he had such like issues with his mother that he kept the body of his mother,
Yeah.
like on display.
Yeah.
Yum.
Some serious
Numbers.
issues, and like, you
I
know,
hope people listen to this episode while eating.
I'd be like, oh, I was just trying to eat some Cheerios. Now all I can think of is dead, decaying skin. Or make some on me. Maybe you want to turn me into a wallet. I don't know. I got some good,
A
like my
skin
haunches
wallet?
are real good, real soft, soft flesh. And on that note, Natalie, it's nice to see you.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Where do people go to find Vesta Realty?
You can check out us on social media, Vesta Real Estate. You can find me #Nat, so that will bring you to me. And yeah, on the books and on the grams, we're all over that shit. So find us and let's get you a house.
Let's sell your house. Let's buy you a house.
Let's build you a house.
Let's get your in-laws out of your house.
That is the big one.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I mean, you can do whatever you want with me when I'm dead. The only thing I want is you got to put a couple coins over my eyes so that I can get across the river Styx.